I don't know much, but I know this much. Chelsea have lost 2-0 at the Santiago Bernabau. Chelsea go into this game massive underdogs. We looked like we were going to take an absolute beating tonight, but we've come out 2-0, down to 10 men. Ben Chilwell gets sent off, and we have to finish off the game in a mad formation with players all over the pitch trying to salvage what we could from this game. But it might be fair to say that we've come away with this genuinely unscathed. Guys, let me know what you think. Let me just take a moment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like this video, it's a massive help. Really helps me with the algorithms and whatnot. But guys, what do we think about this result? 2-0 at the Bernabeu. Had you presented me this result before the game, would I have taken it? Possibly. I think 1-0 would have been far better. And the fact that Ben Chilwell gets sent off late in that second half, to me, really killed off a big chance that we might have had to turn this around at Stamford Bridge a week from now. It's still doable, but Ben Chilwell gets sent off for a really foolish, really unlike him. He's normally got such a great temperament in these games and in these situations. I want to talk about temperament because I think that is a big theme of what went wrong in this game this evening. But Ben Chilwell, very disappointed that he got sent off. You know, it's a go-to as a defender when you know someone is beating you for pace and you want to try and get goals out of them. You try to bring a shoulder back, but it didn't work, and Rodrygo went down straight away, and the referee had nothing to point to but to send him off. Unfortunately, it wasn't in the box, so it wasn't a penalty. That would have been a double blow, and that would have been the game and tie pretty much killed off. But 2-0, we leave at the Bernabeu, and I think that there are a lot of things to talk about in this game, and I want to get into them right now, but mostly I think we all went into this game with realistic expectations, and what the result has ended up being seems to be pretty much where we're at the moment. And this was a Real Madrid team that were not in their finest form. They did not really put us to the sword like they could have. They were absolutely sensational at times, dominate possession. In that first half, I feel like they didn't really put a foot wrong, and they were as good as it gets, as good as a Real Madrid team gets. But Chelsea matched them, and we looked like we were going to break, hit them on the counter, and that was potentially the game plan. But overall, I feel like it was pretty much the cards we got dealt seems fair, given where Chelsea are at the moment, given our performances, and given how we played in this game. So 2-0 is the result. Going into the game, Frank Lampard picked a stellar lineup. I was so pleased when I saw that lineup, and I was filled with far more confidence I would have been. The fact that Frank went back to the back three was a sign that he is listening, he is paying attention to what is happening, and he's not afraid to change things. And that's what we've been lacking all season long. When things aren't going right, a big change, a big managerial move, someone who isn't afraid to shake things up and change things that haven't been working. That was what we were suffering so much with Graham Potter. Frank Lampard immediately back three. Thiago Silva, Koulibaly, Wesley Fofana. And I thought that was a big move, considering this is his second game in charge of the season, and he's gone for that. He's thrown Thiago Silva straight in. And another big call in this lineup was dropping Kai Havertz. I thought that was a massive call, considering Kai has been really struggling for form. At the end of the day, he's not a natural goal scorer. The goals are not coming from Kai Havertz. And when he is on the team sheet, it does always feel like a missed opportunity. He's taking the place of a man who potentially could bag us a goal or two. So I feel like it was a big statement for Frank to drop Kai, play the back three. It shows that he's listening, he's receptive, and I feel like he went with the best lineup. And I don't think there are too many Chelsea fans that could be disappointed with the lineup that Frank chose. At the end of the day, I felt like it was a good one. Now, the back three, Thiago Silva, Koulibaly, and Wesley Fofana. This really didn't go to plan. I feel like Real Madrid really exposed our back three. I think Carlo Ancelotti was very clever in the way he set up Real Madrid and how wide Real Madrid played. We know Vinny Jr., he's going to hug the touchline all the time. We know Rodrygo as well. And they really gave our back three, our solid back three, a real torrid time. I felt like on the right, down that left-hand side particularly, with Reece James and Wesley Fofana, those two in the first half, they just couldn't catch their bearings. Vinny Jr. was running them absolute ragged, whether it was Wesley, whether it was Reece James. And I'll talk about Reece James in a sec, but Wesley Fofana, I feel like in that first half, really lacked temperament. I felt like the occasion and perhaps the spectacle of this Champions League fixture. At the end of the day, this is Wesley Fofana. He hasn't been in these situations yet, and although I think he is a man with great temperament, I feel like he really showed that he's got a bit to learn. He's been so great recently. He's been in such fine form, but I felt like he was making a lot of rash challenges, got booked early on, give away some bad passes, dribbling out from the back when perhaps he shouldn't have. And I felt like Wesley Fofana was probably the only man putting a foot wrong in that first half for Chelsea. Yes, Real Madrid dominated possession, but we were standing up to them. We were trying to hit on the break. João Felix almost bagged on a breakaway, and I felt like that was the game plan we went for. Soak up the pressure, hit him on the break, and I felt like everyone was sort of playing their part. Enzo was fantastic. N'Golo Kante was a dream as per usual when he's playing and he's fit. But I feel Wes Fofana was a bit hasty, making some bad challenges and also giving the ball away. So Wesley Fofana, for me, didn't have his greatest game in that first half, but he more than made up for it in the second half. Now, Reece James, again, down that right-hand side, rather. Well, Vinny Jr. and Reece James have had quite a few battles over the years. This is the third time we've drawn Champions League football against Real Madrid, and Vinny Jr. has been relatively contained by Reece James. I felt like maybe Vinny has got the better of him once or twice in the past, but aside from that, Reece James has been solid, and the form he was in last year, or the year before that, was just second to none. Best right back in the world, without a shadow of a doubt. At the moment, Reece James is really struggling. I don't know if it's fitness, I don't know if it's confidence, I don't know if he's got some hesitation considering the fact that he's come off that injury and he's not feeling perhaps as loose and as confident in his physique as he usually is, because Reece James is such a bold footballer. He's so aggressive. He's willing to go into any 50-50. He's willing to beat people. We're not quite seeing that Reece James at the moment. Past few games, Reece James has been a lot of hesitation in his game. A lot of odd passes. Like, it's been a bit slow. It's been a bit laboured from Reece James, and those things are really uncharacteristic of him. And I'm always going to give Reece the benefit of the doubt at the end of the day, because he's been absolutely incredible so far for Chelsea. But the past 4 or 5 games, since he's come back from injury, he hasn't looked the same player. And I think maybe he does need some time away. This is a man who missed the World Cup through injury, missed a large part of this season through injury. And I think he might just be starting to think a bit differently about the way he's playing his game and what he's willing to sacrifice, how much of his body he's willing to sacrifice. Because I'm seeing him not quite at his best. And it is a big concern, because I've never seen this side to Reece James. Reece James has always been absolutely exceptional and Chelsea's best player when he's on the pitch. But there's been a slight drop-off in performances recently. Guys, let me know if you've seen that at all. I mean, it's completely understandable, but I just feel like in this game he was more of a pedestrian out there rather than the potent threat we know Reece James, the man to get assists, to score goals, to beat players. I felt like he didn't have a bad game, but there's just something not quite with Reece at the moment. And it's completely understandable given those big injuries he has suffered. But Reece James didn't have his greatest game, and Vinny Jr. was just on... This guy, honestly, he just raises the bar. He really does put in performances, and you think of all the attacking players Chelsea have got, none of them can lace the boots of Vinny Jr. at the moment. He is exceptional. He is so direct. He's so clever, finding spaces, give and goes. He's absolutely sensational. I've got to give a massive shout out, massive credit to Vinny Jr. Honestly, I was just watching him in awe, giving Wesley and James a torrid time. These two are incredible defenders, astute defensive players, and Vinny Jr. was having his way all game long. Perhaps in the second half it tapered off, but the first half, goodness me, Vinny Jr. Chelsea overall, we were decent, but it just didn't quite have that cutting edge. We were always going to, suffer in front of goal. We created perhaps 2 chances. I think the João Felix one early on probably should have done a bit better, considering you're not going to get too many chances. Raheem Sterling gets in a great opportunity right after Real Madrid scored the first goal, doesn't convert it. I think it ends up coming off Alaba, and then at the end, Mason Mount, Antonio Rudiger's there to block a sure, dead cert goal from Mason Mount. I believe he would have beat Courtois if it wasn't for Antonio Rudiger, and it just pained me to see Rudiger in that Real Madrid shirt playing against Chelsea, giving those 110, 120% performances that he used to give in the latter seasons of his Chelsea career. It just hurts to see it. Clearly, we're unable of creating enough chances or enough opportunities to convert. We can't score. João Felix, he's a lone wolf out there. I've said it in previous videos. He doesn't seem to link up well with other players. It does seem to be a lot of selfishness to his game. He's not a target man, so it's just really weird the way Chelsea play. It's like, we get to the edge of the box and we've got no one to hit, and we just need someone in there who can create something out of nothing, someone we can give a half chance to, who might be able to get us a goal and swing the momentum back in our favour. But it's going to be tough. I've got more confidence that Chelsea could score at the Bridge in the second round of this fixture, but it is going to be a tough ask. But Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, things seem to be different. We seem to play with a lot more momentum, a lot more urgency, and a lot more confidence when that Stamford Bridge crowd is behind the boys. But one of the biggest positives from the night, for me, was Enzo Fernandez. This guy is worth every penny of that £100 million we've spent on him. Honestly, the quickness, the speed that he is willing to send a diag, spray any kind of pass across the pitch. He does it so quickly, he does it so efficiently. He does lose the ball here and there. He does get into some rash challenges, but overall, when he has given the ball and asked to put Chelsea up the pitch, he does it in the blink of an eye. And there's not much more you can ask from Enzo at the moment. I feel like he is really putting in some top-tier performances that Chelsea are in need of, because otherwise, can you just imagine where we'd be without Enzo at the moment if we had Georgie in that position? Slow, laboured, we'd be far worse than where we are at the moment, and we're not in a great position. But guys, let me know what you think. It's been a long day for me. I've just come back from Marseille, absolutely knackered, but I managed to come in and watch this game, and it didn't quite go as I had hoped, but we haven't completely sacked it off. We can still turn this around at the Bridge, and I believe with the Stamford Bridge crowd behind the boys, and with a game plan and tenacity and straight from kick-off, I feel like we can turn this game around and we can potentially win this game and win this fixture. Guys, let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you can. Leave a comment in the comment box. And I'll see you in the next one. I'm going to decompress and definitely go through this game in a lot more detail tomorrow. And I'll see you in the next one in a bit.